Question. Salaam Rabbi, the story regarding the fall of Babel is virtually non-existent in Islam. As per your research, how have Islamic historians and scholars understood the story? Considering how Islam is cosmopolitan and universalist in its nature, I find the absence of how people diverged into various ummahs a bit perplexing. Answer wa aleikum salam wa rahmatullah. The story of the Tower of Babel, well known in the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 11:1 through 9, is notably absent as a narrative in the Qur'an. Yet many of its key theological motifs, human arrogance, divine unity, and the spiritual consequences of division, are integral parts of the message of Islam. I would propose that the Qur'anic condemnation of religious division, tafarraqu, and the destruction of previous nations due to internal schisms may serve as an indirect but powerful echo of the Babel narrative. Drawing on the writings of Rabbi Eliyahu Benamozegh, particularly his vision of Melchizedek as the firstborn of the firstborn, we suggest that the sin of Babel can be understood in Islam as the rejection of the universal priesthood and monotheistic unity once embodied by Melchizedek. Melchizedek and the universal covenant. In Israel and Humanity, Benamozegh argues that Melchizedek, identified in rabbinic tradition with Shem, the son of Noah, was not merely a righteous king, but the heir of the original Adamic priesthood. This priesthood, according to Benamozegh, constituted a universal covenant with humanity, preceding and underpinning the later particular covenant with Israel. Melchizedek, as priest of God Most High, Kohen Le'el Elyon, Genesis 14:18, represents a divinely ordained structure of religious authority shared among all nations. His function was to preserve the knowledge of the one God and to guide humankind in a common moral and spiritual direction. Qur'anic echoes of Babel. Division as rebellion. Though the Qur'an does not recount the story of a tower or the confusion of languages, it repeatedly condemns religious fragmentation. Verses such as, "And do not be like those who became divided and differed after clear proofs had come to them. For them is a great punishment." Qur'an 3:105. They became divided only after knowledge had come to them, out of transgression among themselves. Qur'an 45:17. These ayat are echoed in classical tafsir literature, where exegetes like al-Tabar, al-Raza, and al-Qurtub comment that the nations of the past were destroyed because of their division. These statements are typically understood as critiques of sectarianism and schism among those who receive divine guidance. If we extend Benamozegh's framework into the Islamic context, these Qur'anic condemnations of division may be understood as referring not merely to doctrinal disputes, but to a rebellion against the unifying authority of the prophet Shem, Melchizedek. In this reading, the Tower of Babel becomes the moment in which humanity seeks to abandon divine unity, establish a self-made cosmic order, and cast off the inherited spiritual hierarchy established by Adam, Noah, and Shem. Babel, as rejection of the Melchizedekian order, rather than submitting to the prophet Shem, Melchizedek, who symbolized the unity of heaven and earth through just kingship and righteous worship. The builders of Babel sought to make a name for themselves, Genesis 11:4. Their ambition mirrors the archetypal Qur'anic sin, human arrogance, or istikbar, which leads to separation, idolatry, and eventual destruction. In this way, the Tower of Babel may be understood as the first human rebellion against divinely guided unity, and the Qur'anic theme of the destruction of divided nations becomes an intratextual commentary on that rupture. Humanity's refusal to remain within the cosmic order of the universal covenant resulted not merely in linguistic confusion, but in the fragmentation of religious authority, a theme central to the Qur'anic vision of prophetic succession. In this way, Rabbi Benamozegh repeats the Qur'anic teaching that diversity of nations and languages is not a curse, Q 30:22, but that unity in divine purpose must be maintained through submission, Islam, and mutual recognition, ta'aruf, Q 49:13. The alternative, rejection of the prophet Shem, is not mere difference, but destructive division.